Hello and welcome to Theme Park Worldwide and the second ever cycling video here on the channel. You all enjoyed the first one so much where I cycled from my house to Alton Towers that I thought I'm going to film a second one for you all. I've got another kind of theme park related cycle to share with you all, and as you can see by the title of the video, that's cycling to the Chained Oak. So before I move on to that, I'm just going to explain a little bit about what I've been doing exercise wise. I've been using the gym at home, going on daily walks and cycle rides, all following the restrictions of the government during lockdown. You are permitted to leave your house for exercise, and that's exactly what I've been doing every day. And of course I'm taking you along for my daily exercise today. I'm going to be out for just over an hour, and like I say, I started from Uttoxeter about 5 minutes ago, and I've just stopped off here in some more lovely countryside just to film the intro here and tell you about the plan. So I'm going to continue cycling up to Denstone now, which is going to be about another 10-minute ride. I thought I won't show you it directly from home again today because it's the exact same route as what I did last time, but I did mention in the first video how there was an old railway line that's disused now in Denstone that leads up towards Alton Towers, and that's where I'm going to have the GoPro on and start filming for you all. So got the GoPro attached just over here as well, ready to get some footage for you all on my bike ride. So come and join me for some exercise. Like I say, I'm going to have it turned on from that point. I'm going to share some facts about the old railway line. There used to be a station in Denstone. There is still one in Alton. Of course, it's not used anymore, but I'll be talking about that. Along with that as well, we'll pass under various different bridges and tunnels, and of course we'll get some better views of Alton Castle as well, before making our way to the Chained Oak tree, most famous because of the legend from Hex Alton Towers. However, what happens on the ride, you know, doesn't tell the full story, and it tells a bit of a different story as well. So I'm going to be sharing a bit of information about that and showing you the fact that the tree does actually exist. There's quite a lot of people out there that think the Chained Oak doesn't exist. They thought it was just made up by Alton Towers, or at least he chained up the tree so they could make the ride 20 years ago when it opened in year 2000. But as you're going to find out in this video, that is not the case. It exists. So anyway, let's get on the bike, back on Dash, my electric bike. So with this, you choose a setting basically to decide how much you want to pedal, how much help that it wants to give you. I have it on one of the lower settings, so of course I'm getting my exercise in, but it does help you up the hills as well, which is always good. So let's get moving. Let's start this route. I'm going to make my way to Denstone, get the GoPro rolling, and we'll start making our way down the old railway line towards the Chained Oak. Let's go. After cycling for a few more minutes, I arrived into the Staffordshire village of Denstone. You may also recognise this road from my previous cycling video. Instead of carrying straight on like I did previously, I crossed over the road and onto a disused railway line. The Churnet Valley Line was authorised in 1846 and opened to traffic between Macclesfield and Uttoxeter in 1849. Unfortunately, the line closed in 1965 as part of the beaching cuts. Luckily, this part of the line later opened as a footpath and cycle route, which can still be enjoyed to this day. We've just left the former Denstone railway station as we start to travel down the disused line towards Alton. Denstone didn't originally have a station, but in 1873 a station was opened at the site of the College Road level crossing. The station continued to operate until the closure of the line in 1965. The former Churnet Valley Line offers some beautiful scenery and is a perfect place to exercise. Along the route, I passed over bridges, under roads and through tunnels. All of these are still intact, even though the railway line no longer exists along this section. In the 1990s, part of the Churnet Valley Line was passed into the hands of a preservation society and today operates as the Churnet Valley Railway. This heritage railway operates along a 10.5 mile long route, and the first train ran along the track in 1996. The Churnet Valley Railway has continued to restore parts of the line and has completed various expansion projects. The long-term goal is to potentially extend the line back down to Alton Station, allowing a passenger service to be able to reach Alton Towers for the first time since 1965. This is a project that would require a huge amount of work, especially as the Alton train station is now owned by the Landmark Trust, as I'll talk about more when we'll get down to the station further along the route. We're now arriving into Alton, and on the hillside to the left you can now see Alton Castle. In my previous cycling video, I mentioned how the castle has gone through many different owners over the years and has served various different purposes. It now operates as a youth retreat centre. To the right of the railway line and on top of the hill is the Alton Towers theme park. When the park is open, you can hear some of the rides from this part of the former railway line, along with screams from some of the riders. The tunnel ahead means we're approaching the former Alton Station. What you may not realise is that when you're travelling to Alton Towers, this is the tunnel that the road up to the park passes over. Alton Station opened in 1849 and served the village of Alton, along with the country estate of Alton Towers. Early passengers included many day visitors, coming in large numbers from the Staffordshire potteries. They'd also be coming to enjoy the delights of the country estate of the Earl of Shrewsbury. A luggage lift was actually installed to hoist the Earl's baggage up to Alton Towers. The station also had a 3-storey tower which contained the Earl's suite of waiting rooms. The station platform was also made particularly long to satisfy the Earl's desire to have impressive surroundings in which to receive his guests. In 1954, the station was officially renamed Alton Towers before closing in 1965. The station was later lovingly restored by the Landmark Trust and can now be rented out as holiday cottages. At this point it was time to leave the former railway line and take a smaller path towards the Chained Oak tree. If I'd have carried on along the railway line, I'd have made it to Oakham Station and the end of the area that's open as a cycle route. Further from this would be the section of track that now operates as the Churnet Valley Heritage Railway. I continued to make my way through the trees and up towards something that I've always found very, very interesting. Well, that was an absolutely wonderful cycle ride. About 20 minutes there from the start of the old railway line in Denstone, all the way down here to Alton, and of course the legendary Chained Oak tree. But yeah, brilliant cycle route. You get some lovely scenery all throughout the Staffordshire countryside. It's really, really nice, picturesque down there. Really good that everyone was keeping the social distancing as well, which was great to see. Plenty of room down there for people to move to the side and stuff, which is great. And likewise for me being on the bike with any pedestrians making the way down, you know, I could move to the side or they could, you know, there's plenty of room down there to keep your distance, which is great. But it wasn't as busy as I thought it would be actually, especially on a nice hot sunny day like it is today, shorts weather. Thought there might have been some more people about, but yeah, really nice cycle routes. The only negative about it is of course the terrain for cycling. It's not the best for your tyres going over all these different bumps, and you probably noticed it on the GoPro. I've got the stabilisation on there, so it might not have been too bad, but it's quite a bumpy ride compared to if you were going along tarmac or something, or even on this part of the route just here actually, where it's much better terrain. But of course this isn't part of the old railway line. We took a right turn down the bottom just a couple of minutes after going past the lovingly restored Alton train station, the former train station for Alton that closed a long time ago now. But yeah, you know, you make your way up past that, take a right turn, and you come onto this pathway that actually used to be a road, or at least a road for horse and carriages to come down, as the legend goes, because this is it. I'm now standing right next to the legendary Chained Oak tree, and there it is. You've got the steps there just behind me, and there's the tree itself. So we're going to have a little walk up the steps, and I'm going to take you up nice and close to the Chained Oak. So I know there's a lot of people who are really interested in me coming down to show you this, especially after my previous cycling video a couple of weeks ago. I was actually on the road up the top just here, about a 3 or 4 minute cycle ride up there, you know, 10-minute walk tops, and you're on the main road. And yeah, with that, you can just walk down that way and come and see the Chained Oak. You know, it's not like there's no like visitor centre, or there's no opening and closing times, no fence or anything. You can just come down here whenever you want and come down here to the Chained Oak. So I'm going to talk a bit more about it. Let's go up the steps and get a little bit closer to the old oak tree. Now, whether you come down here to the Chained Oak in the daytime on a nice sunny day such as today, or if you come down here on a winter's evening where it's cold and misty, there's always an eerie atmosphere down here at the Chained Oak, especially when you come down here on your own. I mean, just listen, all you can hear is the birds and nothing else. I'll just stop talking for a minute. I know that's hard for me to do, but just listen, nothing. Beautiful, isn't it? So relaxing. And then you've just got this tree. And here it is, covered in chains. Now, you might be thinking the tree is in a bit of a state, and that's because back in 2007, this left-hand section of the tree here all actually fell. I mean, this wouldn't have normally been like this, of course. You can see where it was all attached at the top just here. So you wouldn't have been able to get to these chains and touch these chains. But yeah, this did fall back in 2007. Now, from reading the comments on my previous cycling video and previous Alton Towers vlogs that I filmed in the past, there's a lot of people out there that just thought that the legend and the whole sort of idea of the Chained Oak was completely made up just so Alton Towers could build the ride Hex, the Legend of the Towers. But not at all. Don't get me wrong, not all parts of the story what I told in Hex are true. However, the legend is more than true. It's been a legend for many, many years. I was actually told by my grandparents the legend of the Chained Oak way before the ride even existed up at Alton Towers, and saw the tree, you know, and then of course a ride was later built on it. So a lot of people did think, oh, you know, Alton Towers have just gone down and put these chains on this tree. Not at all. It's a genuine legend that dates back to 1821, and it's believed that the chains have actually been on the tree from around 1840. So yeah, like, I mean, you look at the chains, look at this one down here, it's actually growing directly through the branch. I mean, you know, you couldn't make that up. Like, it's growing right through it, and this structure is absolutely crazy. It's huge. So I'm going to climb a little bit further around the top just here and show you some more angles of the Chained Oak. Now the legend goes that on an evening in 1821, the Earl of Shrewsbury was travelling along this road, making his way back to his home, which was of course Alton Towers. So he'd been making his way along this road just here, the same way that I've just cycled, and he would have been stopped. So it would have been his horse and cart, there'd have been a driver on the front, of course, navigating them back to Alton Towers, and it'd have only been maybe 5 minutes away now, because Alton Towers is only just up in that direction. However, an old beggar woman steps out, maybe in the same place where my bike is, who knows, but a beggar woman stepped out somewhere into the road and begged him for money. Now the Earl didn't want to give any money to the beggar woman, so he ordered his driver to just carry straight back on home to Alton Towers. However, because of this, the beggar woman then decided to actually place a curse on a tree. And not just any tree, she picked this oak tree just here. And like I say, it has grown to be a massive oak tree now. I mean, it was so much more impressive before 2007, when those branches that you can see just down there sadly fell down. However, you know, he then went back home at a later date. It was actually quite a few years later on the ride Hex at Alton Towers. Like I said, the story's been changed so much over the years, but yeah, it's not believed that the death actually took place imminently. A death of his family took place a few years later. Obviously the Earl at that date, around the 1840 mark, then decided that the tree may have had something to do with it, so the tree was then chained up. So it's been like this since around 1840, and like I say, the fact that the tree is still covered in these chains to this date is absolutely crazy. And we'll make our way down this way and you can really get an idea for just how long it's been like this for. I mean, look at this, absolutely crazy. The fact that the chains have grown straight through the actual bark itself, they've grown through the tree. Let's head down this way and get a little bit of a closer look. And also here as well, you can get really close to the chains, and these are ridiculously heavy. So if we pick this up here, I think this is, you know, from 1840. Listen to this now, are you ready? There you go, like that just shows how heavy they are, like the noise that they make. And like I said, there's such an eerie atmosphere down here. But look at it, these chains extend all the way up to the top. It's crazy. Now, like I mentioned earlier on, I was told the legend of the Chained Oak quite a few years before the ride Hex opened at Alton Towers, so it's certainly something that I've always been very familiar with, and especially living in the area for all of my life. However, every time I come down here, and it's the same many times I've been down here over the years, it's just got such an eerie atmosphere, and the fact that it looks like just a normal path you're cycling or walking along, and then you're just greeted by these steps just here, and then this branch that's fallen down here at the side, the chains all down. And like I say, this in a way makes it more dramatic, seeing the branch there and all these chains. Back when I was a kid, and well, prior to 2007, you wouldn't be able to touch any of the chains. All the chains would have been higher up in the tree, similar to how those ones are over there at the side. Yeah, you couldn't really get anywhere near any of the chains, but you know, as the tree of course has deteriorated over the years, and like I say, this branch did fall down, so you've been able to get closer to them. But it really goes to show that this oak tree, even when it was chained up in around 1840, you know, it shows it was still quite a big tree. I imagine that would have been the top of it just there. They're actually the highest chains that there is on the tree. And of course the tree's now extended all the way up to the top just there. So yeah, of course the tree's grown a lot over, well, nearly 200 years. But you know, you've got to think this tree was chained up, what, 180 years ago? Like, absolutely crazy. But I just thought you'd all enjoy seeing the actual Chained Oak, the place that inspired Hex at Alton Towers, but certainly wasn't created for it. It's one of those that, you know, this has been a legend for a very, very long time in the local area. And if you're ever down here and want to come and see it, park up in Alton, come and have a little walk down. If you've got time out of your day at Alton Towers, you could walk it in maybe 20 minutes from the turnstiles at Alton Towers Towers in that direction and come down here and see it, the legendary chained oak tree, still chained to this day, chained up in 1840, and what at first just looks like a normal tree has got such a dark story. It really, really has. And there we have it, a wonderful cycle ride ending by explaining a tale with a twist. At this point I got back onto my bike and cycled up towards the main road that leads to Alton Towers. Instead of taking a left turn and heading up towards the park, I took a right, and it was time to make the journey back home through Alton and towards Uttoxeter. I really hope that you've enjoyed this second cycling video here on Theme Park Worldwide, showing you the disused railway line, explaining some more local Staffordshire history, and of course seeing the chained oak and the fact that it's been there for a very, very long time and certainly wasn't made up just for Hex at Alton Towers. What are your thoughts on the chained oak? Have you been down to see it, or is it something that you'd like to do in the future? Along with that, what are your thoughts on Hex and how they incorporated the story of the chained oak? I would love to know all of your thoughts down below in the video comments. In the meantime, if you've not seen my other cycling video where I cycle from Uttoxeter to Alton Towers, then make sure you check it out here on the channel. In the future, I may look at filming more cycling videos, however, they'll be on my second channel, Adventure Sean, so it's definitely worth checking it out, especially if you've enjoyed these theme park related ones. I really hope that you've enjoyed the insight into some of the exercise that I've been doing during the lockdown, and also learning more about the local area around Alton Towers. Thank you very much for watching, and that means it's time to cue those credits.